The program, and this is our sharing Sunday, and Suzette is here to MC the arrangements. Thank you.
I think I will. I appreciate knowing that, but yeah, I think I'll do this. Wanted to say welcome to our very first Fellowship Sunday, and want to send greetings and apologies from Dick, who is homesick. So thought it was certainly the better part of valor to not come in sick. But he's really sorry that he can't be here, and he especially wanted me to thank our three speakers today for stepping up and being our guinea pigs in this this first ever format of Fellowship Sunday. So the idea of these Sundays is that they provide an opportunity to share thoughts and ideas on the theme of the month for any member of the fellowship to share stories, poems, other things. We're pleased that we had a great response to the invitation from our members, and those folks who volunteered that after the docket was already full, you'll certainly get first shot at the next one. I also wanted to mention that while this week we're doing 3 speakers who will be sharing their own thoughts on the theme of the month, we don't have to do it this way every time. If someone wants to take on a Sunday, if someone wants to work with a group of people to come up with another approach to a Fellowship Sunday, Mary is very interested in hearing your ideas and seeing your creativity flourish. So the theme for this month is living with intention, and that is going to be addressed in various ways by our 3 speakers, which are Michelle, Pam, and Jerry. And we'll start with Michelle.
Is this a good position? Can you hear me? No. Closer? How about that? Is that better? Okay. So I can't tell you, all right, first, I volunteered to do this because I'm on the program committee, and I thought Fellowship Sunday sounded like a fantastic idea. I love this. And so if I love it so much, I should support it, right? So I volunteered. One of the many things in my life that I regret. So I have angsted over what to say, and I've written many notes, and I've decided that it's probably best to just wing it. So I have a reading. It's from Everyday Spiritual Practice, Simple Pathways for Enriching Your Life. And this reading is from Richard Gregg, who coined the phrase voluntary simplicity. He wrote, "Voluntary simplicity involves both inner and outer condition. It means singleness of purpose, sincerity and honesty within, as well as avoidance of exterior clutter, of many possessions irrelevant to the chief purpose of life. It means an ordering and guiding of our energy and our desires, a partial restraint in some directions in order to secure greater abundance of life in other directions. It involves deliberate organization of life for a purpose." And that spoke to me because I was struck by the ordering and guiding of our energy and desires. and restraint in some areas, and deliberate organization. Because that kind of speaks to how I think of living with intention. To me, living with intention means having a goal, and as much as possible being aware of my attitude, choices, behavior, and attention. Because what I think about and focus on is my reality. Am I present or am I hiding? Whatever I do, whatever I choose on any given day, the day is past and gone. And every day leads to another day and another day. And before you know it, you've lived your life. Now, do I live up to these goals and ideals? No. Sometimes I find myself, working hard and doing what I feel is the right thing. And other times I find myself hiding in novels and trashy reality TV. But whichever I choose, at the end of the day is gone. So I'm looking at my notes here. I guess what I'm trying to get to is that over the course of my life, I have come to have some beliefs about the person I want to be, who I want to be. I'm never going to cure cancer. I'm not the kind of person who's going to, march, change the world. But I try to be honest and kind, and I try to do my bit for the people around me, my family and friends, and animals, and the earth, to live and be the kind of person that I want to be. And that requires attention. It requires focus. It requires not hiding. And a lot of times I just want to hide. I feel overwhelmed. I feel scared. And it's so easy to just slip away and do something that takes my mind off of anything that's worrying me. But at the end of the day, again, that day is gone, and I haven't lived up to the goals and ideals that I set for myself. So I stand here before you, very flawed, with lots of grand ideas and not so grand living up to them. But that is what I have to say about living with intention. So thank you.
Good morning. I really like this month's theme, Living with Intention, because that's something I've been trying to do more of these past few years. It started with looking forward to retirement and finally having more time to do the things I wanted to do, but felt I didn't have the time. My life was over busy, and it didn't feel like there was anything I could easily cut out. Then came COVID. I quickly changed my private psychotherapy practice to virtual, and many of the things I was involved with shut down completely or were greatly reduced. This gave me the time that I needed to think about what I really wanted, what I missed, and what I didn't. I realized I was doing a lot of things so I wouldn't let others down, but I was letting myself down. Working virtually allowed me to work from anywhere. I had been watching the real estate market go up for a few years in this area, and suddenly it dropped. You might have missed it. It was very early COVID. We quickly bought a place that I'd actually had my eye on that was like something I'd like to have someday. Early in COVID, we were satisfied isolating on our balcony, watching exciting things go by, like helicopters, kites, tandem bikes, slingshots, and antique cars, none of which have ever gone past our house in Huntsville. We didn't think we'd make friends during the pandemic, but we were pleasantly surprised to make friends with our neighbors and on Zoom church. A big part of that was soul circles, both for making friends and helping me discover what I want my retirement years to look like. As that became clearer, my impatience to retire grew. Going back and forth is harder than I thought, not just physically, but emotionally being torn between two lives. That is why I chose anchor as my word for the year. It represents trying to anchor in one place, and I also like the nautical aspect, since I'm choosing to anchor near the sea. And it is not a coincidence that I choose an A word when looking at a list of possible words for the year, and that my daughter Amber has an A name that I found when looking through the baby book of names. There's that impatience again. Living with intention is not about becoming a better person. It's about becoming ourselves. We all long to find our inner anchor. And to do this, we need a quiet and safe place to connect with who we already are. I've tried to change. I've got so many things I have to do today, to what do I want to do today? Choosing a word for the year focuses on a value to live your life around and facilitate action to put our values into practice. So right now I'm concentrating on what I need to do to be more anchored, to move to Galveston full-time and semi-retire, even though it requires a lot more sailing around before I get there. I do want to point out a potential problem with living with intention. We also need patience, there's that word again, because sometimes our goals take a while to come to fruition. For example, downsizing and closing down 2 physical businesses is a lot of work. However, the biggest concern is expecting that our intentions will always work out as planned. It won't always happen, and we need to go with the flow or create another intention. I often write in a graduate's card, always have a plan, but be willing to change it. In my work with clients, I've noticed that flexible, adaptable people are happier than those with rigid rules and fear of change. But knowing when to keep with it and when to move on can be difficult. I'm going to end with an excerpt from Brene Brown's book, Daring to Lead. Living into our values is one of 4 skill sets that make up daring leadership. It means we do more than profess our values, we practice them. We walk our talk. We are clear about what we believe and hold important, and we take care that our intentions, words, thoughts, and behaviors align with those beliefs. And that is why I challenge myself to follow my UU principles every day. Thank you.
Good morning. Good to see everybody. A felt shift. You know when you are looking through a kaleidoscope, then you turn it, and the colored glass pieces rearrange themselves into a completely new pattern, and you can never recover the former pattern? That seems to me to be a metaphor for life. You have a vision of the world with all the pieces arranged just so, then something happens that changes that vision and gives you an entirely new outlook on life. In psychology, that is sometimes called a felt shift. Your outlook has shifted and you can feel the difference. The world will never look the same again. In my life, I must have had thousands of felt shifts, some felt more than others. Some shifts are memorable. I can remember a few felt shifts that stand out for me. One happened when I was about 10 years old. I was terrified of my violent and unpredictable father. I can remember one day I was standing beside the tractor in the machine shed and he was raving on about something and threatening me. We had several guns, shotguns, rifles, and pistols in our house, and I knew how to use all of them. I told my father if he ever hit me again, I would shoot him in his sleep. I said it with conviction and believed it at the time. He believed it too and never hurt me again. And I ceased being afraid of him. I shifted from fear to something else, not bravery, but something like assertiveness. I think that moment in the machine shed saved me. Another felt shift occurred when we moved from our farm and the one-room rural school I attended into town. I was convinced that I would not be prepared for the 8th grade urban school and would not be able to keep up with the town kids. To my surprise, I quickly discovered that I was ahead of those kids in knowledge and ability. That was another felt shift and a boost of confidence. I was in the Navy when I experienced another felt shift. Many of us frequented a bar in San Diego where the hostesses would solicit drinks from us sailors. In return, they would sit with us. I remember my fellow sailors learned that we were paying for alcoholic drinks for the hostesses, but they were drinking iced tea or something else non-alcoholic. Many sailors were outraged that they were paying for drinks that were essentially water. My felt shift came when I realized that we were paying for a female company, not drinks. That felt shift grew into the lifelong habit of paying attention to what was actually valuable in life and worth paying for. When I began the PhD program at the University of Missouri, I experienced a real eye-opener of a felt shift. At the end of the first 8 weeks, it became clear that I was failing. I had to not only double my efforts, but increase my scholarship by tenfold or more if I was to succeed. I increased my efforts to the absolute limits of my ability. Instead of memorizing one book, I memorized 10. The felt shift had to do with recognizing my limits and achieving what I was capable of. I can't say that I can't say that I have always lived up to my potential since then, but that has been my goal. I don't remember when it happened, probably gradually over a period of time, but I shifted from wondering and worrying about what other people think of me to the realization that people rarely think about me. They are much too busy thinking about themselves. Somewhere along the line, I also felt a shift away from irritability and intolerance toward others to kindness and patience. My mentor at Napa State Hospital, Dr. Leo Burgess, helped me with that. One day, I was in his office when a patient came in and started shouting and cursing at Leo. When she finally wound down, Leo looked at her, smiled, and said, "That's telling me." That shift has lasted to this day, and I hope it continues. A recent felt shift happened when I experienced a serious heart attack. That event rearranged the kaleidoscope of my life and brought into focus my feelings about living and dying. I became fully aware that life is a gift, and that I can fear death or feel gratitude for the precious gift of life, no matter how long or short that gift is. That was perhaps the best felt shift of all. Thank you.
I'm very pleased. Thank you. Thank you all for that sharing. It's really contributed to our community, I think. Right, and so next, Judy, stop the recording, and next we'll have our closing hymn.